went out with a cow and a placard for Laura Dern. And it was, you know, a necessity because I didn't have the money to buy ads in the trades. And it brought awareness.
A marvelous time working on Wild at Heart with David Lynch. He was so much fun to work with. He would always call me Nixter. Nixter, that was solid gold, buddy. Cinema is a road. It's a dark road.
Here's the thing with that, champ. That's short for champion. Yes.
Massive quantities and a glass of water, sweetheart. My socks are on fire. She's my mother's sister's girl. I had another Monica Bellucci dream.
Real, you know, beautiful big ones swim kind of deep down there, so you have to be very quiet and, you know, wait for them to come along.
Make every look just a beat longer than normal, so there's room to work. Okay, here we go.
Background?
Is that beat?
Yes.
Action.
So I got the pool, and she got the pool man.
If you want to see the greatest performance of 2006, check out Laura Dern's performance in Inland Empire.
Here in LA, beautiful blue skies.
Okay, good. Get her undressed and we'll do this thing. Naomi came in and did not look exactly like the photograph that I had fallen in love with.
It was disappointing.
It was not disappointing.
A little bit.
It was devastating. You remind me today of a small Mexican chihuahua. Action, Kale.
Kale. And he calls me Kale. That's another story.
Okay.
Because during Dune, Dino De Laurentiis, who produced that, couldn't say Kyle, and he called it Gale. Hey, Gale. And he had spoke like that.
Sure.
David picked that up. He becomes fond of it, so now he calls me Kale. He says, Kale.
Kale, you come to right about here. And you come in, Tidbit.
My nickname is Tidbit since I was 16.
Okay, I love you, Tidbit. I love you, sweetie.
There seems to be a growing trend in Hollywood now where there's a lot of prominent product placement. How do you, as a filmmaker, feel about this growing trend?
Bullshit. Yeah, you know, any idea. It wasn't there, and
You work so hard, you know, after the ideas come to get this thing built.
Wood is such a blessing for humanity.
All the elements to feel correct, the whole to feel correct, in this beautiful language called cinema.
That was awesome.
Hello, everyone.
Wow.
He has great hair. That's he does. Anything. He did. Amazing hair. Yeah. So I saw a bunch of clips on the internet online. I was like, all right, let's make a quick video for David Lynch, and there was so much to pick from.
Yeah. He always drops the quotes.
That was your Cliff Notes, David Lynch cramming for today's episode. I had to throw in like random things in between to avoid like the copyright, because I tried the video a couple times before I did it for the live show, and like the Twin Peaks song, like, you know, at the end, and then the party scene I had picked where you see Bill Pullman walk around. I had picked a longer version of that clip, but because of the song and the party. And then like a lot of the movie scenes, like I just really, so I specifically tried to get more stuff like behind the scenes, like the Naomi Watts just sitting there like with the stage direction and not doing anything. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
So
it was funny to hear him be devastated by her not looking like her photo. Like she's like so beautiful, and then he's just like devastated.
That was hilarious. Such a fun clip. The Nick Cage clip was really cool too. I'm glad I found that.
Oh yeah. I mean, Wild at Heart is so good, and it is the most Nick Cage we got until Mandy. So it is like a 9 on the 10 Nick Cage meter, and it is a fantastic movie. I remember a friend of mine introducing me to David Lynch, which I didn't know I had already seen his films, but he did a double feature of Blue Velvet and Wild at Heart. And wow, I was not prepared. Those movies are fantastic. Blue Velvet's amazing. Dennis Hopper is so unsettling. Laura Dern. I mean, everyone's going to always remember her for Jurassic Park, but man, like all her David Lynch films are fucking awesome.
I mean, he went out there and sat in the road with a cow just for her.
She is worth it.
Who does that for anyone else? Yeah, so I mean, for those not in the know, a little bit more context. Director David Lynch passed over the past week, so we wanted to talk a little bit about him. Now, I will be very forthcoming. I'm looking at David Lynch's filmography right now. I don't think I've seen any of his movies.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's something definitely that I'll have to remedy. And I've already picked 3.
Oh, what are you gonna watch?
So here, let me share my screen so we can check out. So this is the look, I don't like that. That's too long.
I'm excited for you.
There we go. So this is David Lynch's filmography according to Letterboxd, and of course the first one's got to be Wild at Heart, just because Nick Cage is in it. So that's what I'm gonna watch.
You've got Nick Cage, Laura Dern, Willem Dafoe at his most Willem Dafoe. Like creepy level goes to 11 in this role. You will be unsettled by everything Willem Dafoe does.
Yep.
I'm so excited.
The next one's gonna be Mulholland Drive, just because of how much fun I saw the video was with Naomi Watts. I thought that was really cool.
I've heard it's one of the greatest films, but like I watched it and didn't get it.
Oh, Mulholland Drive?
Yeah, so I'm curious about your opinion on this one.
Yeah, and then the third one is gonna be the one from that party scene, Lost Highway. I might eventually get to Blue Velvet as well, but I want to prioritize those 3, just because they seem, as I was looking for clips and doing research and stuff, like that was some of the stuff that kind of popped out at me. We do have Jimmy Nails in the chat. As the man himself said, someday the sadness will end, but I don't think today's the day. Yeah, it's a sad day, Jimmy. I've seen a lot of people, like, it's really interesting how many people are. So, like, I feel like his work affected people on a deeper level, right? Like, there's stuff that you kind of enjoy, but like, I feel like, I don't know, that's why I'm kind of curious to dive into some of his work.
He wants you to be uncomfortable. He wants you to be uncomfortable and be okay with that. Like I think Blue Velvet is a great intro into his world, because it shows this clean cut kind of 50s style life that is invaded by the darkness when Kyle MacLachlan's character finds an ear in a field. And it's when that evil invades the suburbs and overlaps that he tells really great stories.
Yeah. Now, Jeff, what about you? How familiar are you with David Lynch?
Not really at all. I've seen a few episodes of Twin Peaks. I saw Mulholland Drive when it came out like 20 years ago. I accidentally watched some of Elephant Man when it was on TV when I was a kid, and it freaked me out and scared me, so I never went back and watched it.
That looks.
So he's. But I worked at a half price books, a bookstore for like 15 years. So if anybody, like, I feel like I learned a lot of Lynchian stuff through osmosis, because he's a big player and with those kinds of people that work at bookstores. So yeah, he's definitely an intellectual kind of like, he definitely has a lot of he's definitely a director that a lot of people watch in their formative years, so they really cling on to his stuff and they just like, they're Lynchians for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
I am curious to see how you will. I enjoyed Twin Peaks, so I started watching Twin Peaks not like last year, sometime. Like I watched it when it was on, kind of, but he's a little bit his. I have to be in the mood to watch David Lynch because I can't be like, I have to like shut everything off because I know I'm going to have to pay attention to the movie and it's going to be kind of a I want to say slow, but that's not the right word. It's methodical, kind of like you have to be cued into the movie to watch it.
Yeah.
And then kind of understand what's going on. So it's, for me, sometimes the David Lynches are like, it feels like good work, but it's still kind of work. So, that's why I'm not super familiar. I'm also kind of like, as he passed, I shocked because I've been bad looked at his like what movies he made. And it's not a ton. It's not a ton of movies,
No.
I mean, Twin Peaks is a show, so like,
Twin Peaks feels like his longest running project just because there was the the TV show and then the movie, and then there was like more TV show like more recently, right? I think they did another season. So it feels like that kind of his the Twin Peaks is kind of like his really his thing, maybe his passion project. I don't know that he wasn't passionate about all these other things, but feels like Twin Peaks is the one thing that he was like, as long as they'll let me make more of this, I'm gonna keep making more of this.
There's a documentary we watched this week called David Lynch, The Art Life, and he talks about Eraserhead just being perfect. Like he's just so happy with that. It's interesting because like he does spend so much on Twin Peaks, but it's like Eraserhead was like perfection to him. And so I wonder if that's like something he would never return to just because he felt like it was a complete project and done, unlike Twin Peaks.
I saw
maybe that
Twin Peaks is built on the tropes of like soap operas and long form drama too, though. So that's what it kind of gives into wanting to build on that and do a movie and do another series and return to it. But like I saw The Elephant Man like when I was a kid and I watched the whole thing and it fucked me up. Like I remember like when David Lynch passed, I thought like, well, what movies do I know? And Elephant Man fucked me up at 10 because I was so disturbed just by the ending of like how he just wants to be normal. So he tries to sleep like a normal person, that whole thing. And I'm 10 years old watching like this black and white movie with like very disturbing visuals, but he wants you to be disturbed and be okay. Like that took a long time for me to figure out because he puts those kind of elements in there, like when, and then Dune, like, I saw Dune later and that introduced me to, Frank Herbert. So like, that was kind of the best part of seeing, David Lynch's Dune. But I'm always curious because there is the legend that he almost directed Return of the Jedi. What a David Lynch Jedi film would have been like.
Well, Ewoks just smoking in the forest.
All my facts.
Do what?
I said, so I did a little bit of research going into this too. And I found a few things that I found really interesting. So one of them was, for Eraserhead, that film took him 5 years to complete. Just because he had a very limited budget. It was his first film. It was just very tough and very intensive, but it says that, from interviews and stuff, it was definitely a labor of love. So, and I mean, now Eraserhead's talked about it, a lot, like all the time, right? Like, I feel like
it's
a lot of people
iconic film.
Yeah, very, very influential. So although I think it's funny, I'm looking at Letterboxd and then just like the people that have put like a 1.5 stars or a 2 stars, I'm like, maybe this one wasn't for you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it does have its own kind of audience, and he's not for everyone. But like, it's interesting because like Mulholland Drive, I've just read debates of it being like one of the greatest films of the one of just the greatest films. I've seen it voted for post 2000 and for all of cinema. So, but I just didn't get it. Like, I don't get Mulholland Drive at all.
I mean, better than the 4-hour Justice League.
I mean, we'll see. It's definitely shorter.
The black and white version.
Yeah, the Justice is Gray version.
Justice is Gray. Also, just like the Elephant Man was in black and white. I want to see David Lynch. Give me the David Lynch Justice League.
Oh
I think Zack Snyder had when they did his letterbox. I think I want to say maybe Blue Velvet was in his top 4 when they interviewed him.
Yeah,
which would make a lot of sense, just like based on his sensibilities. I think it's like Blue Velvet, and I know Excalibur is like also one of his favorite films.
Clay, how much would you flip if Zack Snyder did a Blue Velvet remake?
Fucking hell! Like, I just don't. No.
I don't think he would. I feel like he wouldn't.
Just use Reels. Just use Reels. How different is it than TikTok?
No.
It's not. We're not going to get into that joke. But it's not.
I think another thing that we need to talk about, though, is like the fact that David Lynch won an Academy Award and then went on to direct like a soap opera like TV show in Twin Peaks. That was just a weird move back then. But network TV was way more powerful, and Twin Peaks was like when Lost was on. Like, everybody was into it and watching it. Do what?
He changed the way network TV kind of happened with that show.
It became like an obsession, like that. But it was really, the first season was the biggest, and that was huge. And they didn't try to stretch it out like 6 seasons like Lost did. So it was really great to see how it kind of played out and just what he did with TV, because it was interesting, and just the characters he introduced. That's the more fascinating part. Like,
he is somebody who has very much like stuck to his own guns, like his march to his own drum kind of thing, and just kept with it. Like, it doesn't. Hollywood never changed him. Like, he was, and what's great is that he brought his weirdness to the masses, and it stuck. I was watching Sarah Sherman interview with like Seth Meyers, like she was on his show, and he had just passed away, and she was kind of talking about it. And it was so interesting for her to see somebody who was mainstream. Like, you could watch these movies on cable or whatever, but they were so weird and so much more different than anything else that was being done at the time. And that kind of gave a lot of people that kind of internal whatever that says, well, then I can do it too, because I don't have to be, ER or Friends or whatever, like all the mainstream stuff that is just strictly geared to, middle America. But you can watch somebody like eat a pie on network television for 3 minutes and just be like, what am I watching? And then you're still stuck watching,
He did a lot of stuff with food, huh? Because I saw, like, while I was looking through the clips, like, there's always, I mean, I know he was an avid coffee enthusiast. But, like, even him, the little clip of him eating the bagel in that, I don't know if that's a show. I don't know if that's an interview. It's hard to tell.
He's eating a donut. Donuts were a thing on Twin Peaks for the police. Okay. Coffee and donuts.
I should have known, because it's the Showtime. That's where the Twin Peaks came back. So, as Clay mentioned, George Lucas offered Lynch the opportunity to direct Return of the Jedi, but Lynch declined, feeling that this wasn't his kind of project, and then instead went on to direct Dune in 1984, a film that it became very both divisive and very influential to like a lot of the other things. So which is very interesting. Which it does beg the question: what would a David Lynch Star Wars movie look like? But I have a feeling that Dune is pretty much what it would look like, right? Because the Star Wars borrows a lot from Dune, the original book. So it's just kind of like full circle, I guess, coming back to all that. So
that's really interesting. I'd like to learn more about that, because I've always been under the impression that George Lucas and Irving Kershner did not get along by the time Empire came out, that they had squabbled enough on Empire that George was like done. So it's weird that he would turn around and then go to David Lynch, somebody who also has a very singular vision for what he works on, to be like, you want to come and work with me? It seems a little antithetical to what just happened.
It seems funny though, with playing that clip at the beginning about when they talked about product placement, and he just goes, bullshit.
Yeah.
Just bullshit. But then the chance that he could have directed Return of the Jedi and sold Ewok toys is
the most commercial of
that's
of
the
movies.
weirdest timeline that I kind of
They would be shaved.
They would be shaved. Yeah, he would. He would want you to be uncomfortable about the Ewoks, and so they would be shaved Ewoks.
We would watch them eating the previous person they captured before joining into the action.
Yeah, there would probably be cannibalism within the Ewoks. It would be an unsettling teddy bear to see.
Shaved Ewoks is one of those nightmares that I can't believe we just came up with, and I love it. Somebody send us your fan art of shaved Ewoks.
I think it's also a pretty cool band name.
Shaved Ewoks.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say that. But like I said, very influential. I think that even though I've never seen any of his actual work, people that I do follow have seen his work, including creator of a manga that I really like, a manga and anime, Atsushi Okubo, creator of Soul Eater. Like, I don't like I said, I've never seen Twin Peaks, but that room with the red tiles floored,
yeah,
and the little man
dancing. It's all played backwards.
Yeah. So the creator of this manga took those visuals and put them in to this whole, like, it's kind of like this different dimension for these characters that they go into. It's hard to explain without going into the full detail of the manga, but like, I was like, oh, that's cool. Like the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, that's pretty crazy and it's weird. And I'm like, why are we in this room? And then later on, I found out like, oh, this is just borrowing from Lynch's visuals and stuff. So,
what's the name of the manga?
I mean, and this is a dude from Japan that just found David Lynch's work eventually. So, and it's not like things were as readily available when that manga came out, right? It's not like you could just go in and Google it. Although, what year did Twin Peaks come out? 90, like mid 90s.
90.
Yeah. So that's very cool. Let me see. I have other things. Lynch had a passion for painting and the visual art, which you can definitely see very much all throughout his films, and even in just the weird little videos that he would kind of keep putting out on his channel.
Yeah. Last night we watched on the Criterion channel the David Lynch The Art Life that goes into his early years, that kind of like made his, like, he tells stories from childhood that have stuck with him. So it's David Lynch telling these stories, and so it's just creepy already, and then his voice adds that element, then they add his art to the story, and it just really works. It's very visually unsettling, and then the stuff he remembers, like he even gets into a story that he goes, I can't talk about that, I just can't talk about it. And it's like, what disturbed David Lynch that he can't talk about? It's never ever revealed. But it's a great documentary. It's worth watching.
He was also a dedicated practitioner of transcendental meditation. He credited that to like why he would, just help him with creativity, reduce stress, and maybe why he was so chill as an individual. I guess exiting your body in this living plane would do wonderful things for the mind. So I don't know. Maybe you want to try that in this year, 2025. What else? He was an
butterflies in the sky. I can go twice as high.
He apparently released several albums. I've never heard of any of his music, so I don't know. Clay, you got any of those vinyls?
No, nothing on the music.
He didn't show up on your Spotify Wrapped.
Yeah, right. And then like I said, he was obsessed with coffee, and he was almost a cartoonist. there was an animated series he was dabbling with called Dumbland in 2002, which is very much, I think, if you look at it, just Lynchian, as people say, which,
Yes.
that term gets thrown around very easily, I think, nowadays when it's something weird or something that people don't understand.
Yeah.
But there you have it.
I would love to have seen
yeah.
David Lynch work with Jim Henson.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah.
That'd be cool. Like, look.
I would say like Dave McKeon art would be considered Lynchian, even though I'm pretty sure Dave McKeon was doing art at the same time around, or the same time or before Lynch.
Yeah.
You guys know Dave McKeon did Sandman covers? Okay, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't just throwing out a weird name.
Okay, well, that's all the research I have on David Lynch. Do you guys have any last thoughts about this great director?
I just think that if you've never seen his films, I think Blue Velvet is a perfect start. Wild at Heart, Twin Peaks, Elephant Man. If you really want to see an incredible performance, Wild at Heart is Nick Cage at a 9. It's fucking great. And Blue Velvet's just Dennis Hopper, man, just being the coolest motherfucker in the room. Like, oh God, I love that movie so much. Those are the big ones I picked.
My big fear is that what if I don't like the movies, and then I'll never be able to talk to anyone about it.
Dude, I don't understand Mulholland Drive at all. Like, I've seen Lost Highway, don't care. Like there's stuff of his that's like doesn't hit me the same way, but I might revisit it because it might later.
Then I'll have to keep it to myself forever and go to that. That'll be my big secret I reveal when YouTube goes away. Like a lot of people revealing secrets as TikTok died.
I never cared for The Godfather.
Yeah. Alrighty. Jeff, any last thoughts on David Lynch?
No, I need to revisit some of his work. I don't,
Okay.
I appreciate him for the artist that he was, but I don't. Yeah.
And the weather updates. I mean, granted, it was only the Los Angeles weather, but it's still nice to see. That was probably the thing I've seen the most of his. Just his weather, like the little clips on his weather videos. And the clip of him talking to the monkey, like very briefly during the opening, I thought that was very funny as well.
Makes you want to see a David Lynch Hit Monkey movie.
Hit Monkey. Whoa, he would go for something kind of unknown like that, I think. So
yeah.
All right. Well, let us know in the comments if you're watching this later on. If you're watching this live, let us know what David Lynch stuff you enjoy, or what creators have been inspired by David Lynch that that you also enjoy their work. So, all right, to kind of transition before we get into all this stuff, because we haven't talked about anything that we've seen or done or read or anything in a couple of weeks, just because we've been doing our best of shows. So I want to do a little thing for Clay and Jeff, and Josh isn't here because this was kind of a last minute thing that we put together for the show.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be, look at that.
Whoa.
Look at the production value. 2025 movies random ranking for most anticipated. So I have a list, and this is if you're a fan of TikTok RIP, you may know there's like these filters, and I've been putting some of those videos.
Are we supposed to be sad? Are we supposed to be sad about this?
I am.
We've seen so many platforms die.
It took me a while to go to sleep yesterday because there was nothing. Like, I was like, what do I do now? Like, I would just scroll for a little bit and then get sleepy and go to sleep.
I will say I'm sad about it going away, but I am angry about how we got here.
That's
because
this is
there was no due process. The the law was couched inside an aid package that Congress felt that they had to vote for. AOC came out and said, "Look, we saw the reports where they were trying to say that this is it's a nationality security thing because China's getting our information." And then when they presented the facts to Congress, they were like, there was nothing there. It was a nothing burger. Certainly, Facebook and all those other our American-owned social media sites have been selling our data forever.
Yeah, it's okay for Americans to sell it, but not the Chinese.
But not the Chinese. And honestly, when you start peeking down the road, because I think what TikTok did, and then because I did look into Red Note. What they do is they do kind of open up the world a little bit more, and you do kind of see you're like, well, why is corn under $1 when you can buy cars for $1,700 in other countries? You can buy food for under $1 in other countries. They don't have to pay for ambulances, in other places, and it really kind of opens your eyes up to the world, and then to have it automatically shut down. Because that's when you start to that's when I get angry.
That's the other thing. There was a few people that I connected with on there that I don't see them on any of their platforms. Like, it's just there, whether because that's the only one they use or whatever. So like, and if they're in other countries, like they're not going anywhere, so like they don't need to make a different thing. So it was really a lot of that too, where it was like, oh, these are cool comics people that are just on there and they're promoting their work, or they're working on stuff, or they're just talking about comics.
I also think that their algorithm, the TikTok algorithm, is also geared towards showing you the user. Like, it really does pay attention to what you're scrolling and looking at and liking, and what videos you're lingering on. And it's much better.
For better or for worse.
Well, but I feel like when I'm scrolling through. Yeah, if I feel like I'm scrolling through, because I deleted my Facebook. I'm not, I got rid of it. But when I do scroll through Instagram, I know it's the same company and I know it's the same algorithm. Yeah. I know I'm being sold to. Like, it doesn't matter what I like. It's what matters, whoever's paying them to push the stuff. And I know I'm being sold to. Whereas TikTok, I got sold to stuff all the time. But it was stuff that I kind of lingered on, that I was like, what is this weird machine that shakes your whole body? And then I would get those ads 400,000 times, but it knew there was something I was interested in. And like, if I scroll through Instagram for more than 30 seconds, it's going to give me all kinds of weird restaurants in towns that I'm not even in. There's tons of bots.
Oh yeah.
It's not the same experience.
There was a lot of city guides too for like Dallas and stuff, like where small business people would go to small businesses and stuff. That was cool.
Yeah.
But I will say, if you lingered on
the narrative,
go
ahead.
If you lingered on one thing a little too long, then it would mess up your whole algorithm. Because then you would just get all like that, for a while. So it's easy to kind of manipulate and clean it up if you really want to. Like, anytime something really shitty was going on in the world, like I would just watch anime clips, because then that would just give me more anime clips to try to escape from it a little bit, and then kind of reset. So yeah, but it definitely, I don't know, I got like 3 free hours now every day, so I don't know. Well, maybe I'll be more productive in other aspects of my life.
Wow.
We'll see.
Wow.
We'll see. All right. Well, anyways, TikTok, you could do a filter where it would give you random things and you'd have to rank them, not knowing what the next thing is. So I'm gonna do that to these guys. I have 10 movies that are they should be popular movies. Nothing is like super either has a recognizable actor, a recognizable franchise. It would be on the big piece of the pie that Clay showed us last week. Right? It's not like it's like original or anything like that.
These are all franchises.
I'm gonna give them 10 movies. And then they'll put them on a list from 1 to 10, 1 being the most anticipated, 10 being the least. But you don't know what's coming next. So you got to try to keep in mind, like, maybe what's coming out next year and stuff like that. What are you excited for? So, you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right. We're going to start with Mission Impossible. The Final Reckoning. This comes out on May of 2025. So Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, 1 through 10.
I think people are excited about this. I know that Mission Impossible low-key has a lot of fans, and Tom Cruise.
Now, this
Tom
is
Cruise
your
Renaissance is-
personal. Yeah. This is your personal anticipation.
So for me personally, 5. I actually haven't watched the last 2.
Oh, 5
Mission
feels
Impossible
high.
movies.
Yeah, it's a 10 for me. It's a 10.
Okay.
I might go. I've been wanting to, like, in my head, I'm like, I do want to watch Tom Cruise clinging to the side of an airplane, but I just haven't done it yet.
I really enjoy the last one. Obviously, I can't play along because I have the list, so there's no, like, it wouldn't be random for me. But all right, next movie, Captain America: Brave New World, coming out on February of 2025.
Oh, I shouldn't have picked 5 for Mission Impossible now. Now I'm doing immediate regret.
That's the thing, right? With the filter, you can't change it. So these are locked in wherever you put them.
I should have listened to you when you said these are your personal opinions, not what I think of other people.
Clay, you're gonna put that at number 2? Alrighty.
I'm gonna put it at number 2.
I'm going to put it at number. I apologize. I'm gonna put it at number. I'm gonna put it at 4.
Wow.
4.
That is way too close to Mission Impossible.
Jeff's going.
Well, I know there's a couple of other things coming. I assume there's other movies coming down the pike.
Next, the upcoming sequel, or I guess the next film on the franchise, Tron Ares, starring Jared Leto, October 10th, 2025. And Clay already filled up his 10 spot.
How could I want to see a Jared Leto movie more than a Mission Impossible 9? Because I can't put it at 11.
Here we are.
Shit. I should have been paying attention to the.
I'm trying to do
I'm
like
gonna
some yeah.
I'm gonna go 8, if only for the 9 Inch Nails soundtrack.
Wow.
Fair enough. Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross, super hot right
Won
now.
an Oscar.
Right.
Won an Oscar.
That's right. Yeah,
I'm going to say
right?
something's going to happen to Jared Leto before Tron comes out, and he's going to really screw up this film. I feel like that there is like enough dirt out there on the internet about Jared Leto that it will start to rise to the top as this movie comes out, and it's going to fuck up.
I mean, the man already has a cult. What more can he? More can he do?
I know that's just my one prediction for 2025.
That's why his movies make money, because like his cultists just go in and buy all the tickets. He keeps getting gigs.
He took over.
That's why his concerts are sold out.
All
right, allegedly.
You're talking about the future Skeletor, Clay. How dare?
Oh my god, I forgot about that. But we decided he's only doing the body capture, right?
He's gonna get yoked for it.
He's just the physical performer. Well, because he's like this like ultra vegan, so he's definitely very skinny. So I think he could play the part. We saw him
he's gonna get huge. Yeah, he's gonna get huge, but he's gonna lose weight in his face.
Yeah, that's how method he is.
Speaking of lost weight in the face, 28 days later.
Woo!
Danny Boyle, Alex Garland returning to the world. Now, I will tell you, it's been confirmed that there's going to be 3 movies, but in the first one, we won't see Cillian Murphy's character return, at least in the first one. Just to, All right. Where do we want that?
I never got into these movies. It's a gap in my zombie movie knowledge. So I'm gonna go 9.
They're not zombies. They're victims of rage. The horror nerd.
These were the first fast ones, Jeff, too. All right.
I love these movies. It's a 3 for me. It's a 3.
Oh.
Like, I'm so hyped for this movie.
Hope you don't regret that number later.
Dude, even in the second film, like It's not the greatest, but the opening scene is one of the greatest openings in
Oh, yeah.
horror film. Like Robert
Hello.
Carlyle's terror and his running, you're just scared for him. And I've seen that over and over again, but that opening scene is just so terrifying. I
Oh, and the
love that
second one.
movie.
You said in the second one?
In the second one, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I do love in the first one, the empty city with like Cillian Murphy just yelling.
Yeah. The first
Hello.
movie is perfect. I love everything about it. Like it's a fantastic film. Eccleston is so good at just being a regular guy who's scary as shit.
You should really watch them, Jeff. Actually,
yeah, they're great.
Now that we're talking about it. All right. Next on the list, Jurassic World Rebirth. This will be coming out on July 2nd of 2025.
I would.
Well, you already took off the 9 and 10 spot. Sorry, Clay. The lowest you can go is 8 now, Clay.
8.
You've already filled in.
I give so little about. I just don't care about the Jurassic World franchise at all. It's just not interesting. They're not doing anything innovative. Like, who gives a shit?
I don't know. ScarJo, Mahershala Ali. I actually like the cast a lot, but yeah.
I agree with both of you. I'll put it this way: I'm since the first Jurassic World reboot did the same thing that when Star Wars was rebooted, all it did was parody the very first movie. But they were still able to kind of. I feel like that was kind of the last one. I was like, okay, that's not too bad because they were basically just doing the first movie over again. Clay's right. Once you've introduced the dinosaurs in the first movie, all the magic's kind of gone because now every single character in the franchise going forward has already seen a dinosaur, so it's now just kind of like a weird mishmash of horror movie, I guess, sort of. I hope that they turn it around and they bring something original, some fresh thoughts, all these new characters might be a breath of fresh air. I'm gonna put it at 7, being hopeful.
7? All right.
7.
Now, what Jeff wants is a Men in Black crossover where they keep erasing
they just keep flashing
the dinosaurs' existence from people's heads.
I love dinosaurs. Like, I've got them tattooed on my arm. So like,
hey. All right, let's see. We're getting into the big ones here. Let's go with Thunderbolts asterisks.
I'm excited for Thunderbolts. It's a 3 for me.
Number 1.
3?
I think it's a sleeper.
Number 1, Clay.
Man,
all right.
Clay.
I always get to the end of these lists and I'm like, oh, I messed up. Like, what is it?
I'm hyped for this. I love every character in there. As weird as Ghost is, I'm excited to see her back. I mean, Red Guardian, man. I fucking love that dude, man. I'm hyped for Thunderbolts. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be, I'm worried it's going to be better than Captain America because Captain America, they've compared to the Winter Soldier. And that movie is the best Marvel movie. It is so damn good. I don't know if they can pull off a spy thriller again.
It looks like they're really going for it. The thing that concerns me about Captain America is I've heard how many reshoots that thing has gone through. So
I heard that Seth Rollins isn't in it anymore.
Yeah, he's been cut completely from the film. But because did you see that podcast with what's his name that Seth Rollins was on?
Van Leet.
Yeah, Chris Van Leet. Yeah. Where he was just talking about, the movie went in a different direction. All his stuff ended up on the editing room. So it makes it makes me think that they've gone release the Rollins. I want to see that costume. Yeah.
Who was he supposed to play?
He was supposed to be one of the Serpent Society.
But I feel like they cut a lot of that back and just made what's his name? Just like kind of more of Giancarlo, just kind of his own little character.
He's still probably going to be we know who he is, but it's going to be probably less goofy,
less Serpent Society, more
call it that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
That's just his name.
Next, The franchise that I have the biggest blind spot for, and this is by choice, is Avatar: Fire and Ash, coming out December 19, 2025.
I've never seen an Avatar.
You never seen an Avatar?
10.
Never seen an Avatar.
All right. Ooh, well, I mean, Clay can only go as low as 7 now that he's already pre-filled in.
Yeah, I mean, and what's weird is there's a chance I would see the other 3 movies at the bottom more than I would watch Avatar, the third film, after I've never seen one before it.
That's the beauty. So 7, I'm assuming, Clay?
Yeah.
I like the first Avatar movie. It's been way too long. James, took way too long to get that sequel out, and I just don't care anymore.
He had to invent the technology. He has real Navi now run around.
He could have just dipped Zoe Saldana in blue paint and moved on with his life. Like,
no. Fun fact: Zoe Saldana's in like the top 4 most movie, like the top 4 movies that have made the most money ever in history.
She's a $1 billion lady.
Go listen to her episode of Smart List. I think it's really fun. If you like the Smart List podcast. All right, we have 3 films left. The next one is Sinners. This is the Michael B. Jordan plays 2 people Michael B. Jordan vampire movie. This is probably maybe one of the least well-known.
Yeah. I do remember seeing a commercial for this.
Double Michael B. Jordan.
5.
I'm a 6.
5. I feel like
that's the first original film in here, right?
Yeah. Well, original. I mean, yeah. I guess depending on how it's adapted from a book, I think, or something. So,
okay. So it's an adaptation. Whatever. So it's not even original.
So, like I said, most of these fall in your big piece of the pie that we talked about. So,
okay.
All right. Let's see. The next one. James Gunn's Superman.
Fuck. 4. Yeah, okay. I wow, I didn't even think about that.
I know. That's what
I'm trying to. So here's where because this is why I saved the top 2 spots, because I'm hoping that your last one is a certain film. So I'm gonna say and for me personally, I'm gonna go Superman 2, in the hopes that I know what the last one is.
Look at Jeff playing the game. Jeff's playing chess over here with us. All right, yeah, and then the last film, Fantastic Four: First Steps.
Oh,
where Clay can only put it at 6.
Yeah,
which is not, it's not too bad. I think
it's a big question mark.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four is a big question mark. I'm excited, but I mean, how many have we gone through to get here? I mean, we've had 3 different stories.
You can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs, Clay.
Man, but that last one was just a whole. That last one is really bad.
What better way to re-kick your universe into gear with the first family of Marvel? This could be the shot in the arm
almost
that the MCU needs.
I know, but it's funny how deep into the MCU we are when we get to Fantastic Four.
That is weird.
I feel like that my top 4 are still comic book movies.
Makes sense. I feel like it's on brand.
I would move Fantastic Four up a lot more, and same with Superman. I would move them up.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, there we go.
I love me some 28 years later, but come on, Superman, Fantastic Four.
I do think it's funny that Tron is as far as low as it is for both of you.
I mean, who cares? I mean, the Tron Legacy was good for the soundtrack. That was it.
Tron has the same problem that Avatar does for me, in that there was just way too much time in between the first and second movie.
I mean, the first one's iconic for what it is, but it's a weird kind of niche. It's a cult.
It's also a little boring. Like if you go back and watch it. I also thought that about the Tron Legacy. It's a little boring, but I mean it's very beautiful to watch, and the soundtrack is awesome and stuff.
Yeah, and I mean the concept of Olivia Wilde's character coming out of the game was kind of cool, and then it's like, so now we got to wait how long to get that story? But now we're getting Jared Leto.
Sort of like watching Machinima, old Machinima.
But
just like have it on in the background. It's pretty, whatever.
What better way to be scared of create a villain than by having Jared Leto be the video game that comes to the real world?
Playing Mark Zuckerberg,
the villain of Tron.
Already. Did you say Helen of Tron?
No, the villain of Tron.
Oh.
Like,
oh,
you know,
okay.
I'm trying to think.
Helen of Tron is actually a pretty cool concept. All right. Let's get into the rest of the show. We got a few things. We haven't talked about a lot of things so let's just kind of pick and choose. Let me get started because I recently, and we have a full review for this on the channel now. But this week I watched the original Den of Thieves. I rewatched that so that I could go watch Den of Thieves 2 Pantera, which is one of my favorite movie titles that I've started a long time. Because it's so ridiculous, and you do learn why the movie's called that eventually. Like, but it's still really funny if you don't have any concept.
Pantera does the soundtrack.
That would be cool. That's not the answer, but that would also be cool.
Well, shit.
I mean,
so for those,
then I'm out. If that's not the case,
the big premiere was at the Clubhouse over here in North Dallas.
Yeah.
For those
it sounds like something that would be called like it sounds like a Netflix movie that would be like Right to Ashes, Aerosmith, but Aerosmith has nothing to do with it, you know, like
that. I think that was the most niche joke we've had in a little while. So let me run it real quick. Pantera is obviously a band, but they used to own. I don't know if they still own. They don't. I don't think the Clubhouse is open anymore. But they used to own a strip club here in Dallas.
Yeah.
We're called the Clubhouse, which I never went to, and that was not my vibe. I felt like so. Those times are all bygone now. All right, but yeah, I love a good heist movie. I will say this new movie is a lot more heisty than the first one. The first one has a lot more action in it, a lot more shootouts with it's a lot more delineated, like cops and robbers type of thing.
What is this movie called? Bad to the Bone?
Den of Thieves? Yeah, Bad to the Bone.
Den of Thieves.
Now you don't have back in action on your list of movies that I watched your review for, because that was beautiful. You were just like, this is not good.
I just don't want to crap on a movie that I didn't like. I already did on a separate video.
Okay.
I'm glad Cameron Diaz is back. You know, I'm glad she's back.
Oh, that movie's terrible. I've started. So the wrestling is back on Netflix. Wrestling is on Netflix, and so I'm getting to watch wrestling for the first time ever. And obviously, it was a big get for Netflix to do live wrestling shows. And then I was sitting with my roommate watching some of the wrestling, and they show commercials. It's the first time Netflix is doing live commercials, as far as I know. They maybe they did during their football game.
I think so.
But he was just like, I can't believe Netflix is showing commercials. All the commercials are like from 2018, except for the Netflix commercials. So they're all old commercials, which is weird to watch. It's wild to watch old commercials that are not super old, but just like a couple of years old. And but then they start showing a lot of their Netflix like this is on Netflix in like 2 weeks or whatever. And that Cameron Diaz, Jimmy Fox movie popped up, and for the first time ever, I was like, I want to watch something on Netflix that isn't, whatever, because I have a very limited relationship with Netflix. I don't like their stuff mostly.
So the reason, Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I was just gonna say, I'm shocked that it's a bad movie, that it's not good, because it looks so good in the trailers. We're all reading
the comment right here. We have a little comment here that It took me a second because I was like, what is going on? We have Orbeez thought, wait a second, what the F? I began connecting to 2 hours months ago. On January 14th, I came across David Lynch for the first time and began learning more about his techniques similar to my own. Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
Okay, so this is now this makes a little more sense. Yeah, it's weird when somebody kind of comes into your atmosphere and then they suddenly pass or have recently passed. That's happened to me a couple times where I'm like, you discover someone and then you're like, oh, dang. That sadly enough, that happened to me with Michael Turner because I didn't know a long time ago when I first started going to cons. I didn't know he had passed away. And then I was talking to somebody while I was in the line. And I think I don't remember how recent it was. It's all kind of fuzzy now, but I do remember about Michael Turner. Like I found out at a convention while I was waiting in line to get something signed, but it was one of his covers, but it was somebody else's book. Like the interiors were for somebody else, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. So okay. Cool. I mean, I don't know a lot about these orbs, but if David Lynch was into it, it's probably something you might want to research more before you get into it as well. So, all right. The reason I watch Back in Action is because usually the number one movie on Netflix, whatever it is, does pretty well on a video review. So like I've been like whatever they come out with, like I'll watch it because I don't know if they push it to number one or it organically moves to number one. Although like the Ron Howard movie, Heart of the Sea. Well, I think it depends on when they add new things because people just find them. That Heart of the Sea movie that I did a review for, the Ron Howard from 2015, that was number one for like a week.
So I think that's
Netflix hadn't
organic.
released a new movie, but it was something that they had recently added that month, right? And I think people see Chris Hemsworth and Tom Holland and they're like, oh, what? Why did I not watch this movie? Well, it's not the best movie. That's probably why you didn't end up watching it back in 2015.
Yeah.
Which I like Ron Howard a lot. I think he's a good filmmaker. This one just kind of got away from him. Maybe this is his white whale. I wonder. I bet I'm not the first person to come up with that joke, but yeah. So that's why I watch Back in Action. It's not very good. Cameron Diaz, welcome back to the movies. I hope you make better ones in the future. make better choices. Jamie Foxx was just like kind of there too. Like I feel like he usually brings a lot of charisma to the films, and this one, he was a lot more toned down. Seeing Glenn Close was a surprise too, because I'm like, I mean, I guess it's Netflix money, so they have a lot of it. So yeah,
they are going to be my new nemesis. I think.
Yeah,
when you come out with articles where they're just like, no, we're actively asking our creators to come up with background television stuff, just things that aren't smart, so people can just kind of watch it in the background. And I'm like, I don't need to mess with you.
So yeah,
you're obviously
their goal is mediocrity, and that's the fucking shame of it all, is that people are paying for mediocrity and having to watch commercials during it. So it's just insane.
That's crazy.
It's worse television. It is worse television. And and it bugs me that people are like, it all started with like, my anger was tempered until Carry On. When people try to convince me that Carry On was a good movie, and I'm just like, you guys, it is not a good movie. It's just not. It's not a good movie. There's nothing redeeming about that movie.
I watched the Ryan Reynolds action film that he did a few years ago, and that was when I started noticing how bad these were, because I couldn't even finish it. I was like, I just want to see some cool stunts, and they couldn't even do that or make me or like interest me to even watch it. And so it's like that's what their shows are aimed at, is like, hey, maybe you'll just have us on in the background because we're not as interesting as your phone. Like, now imagine you're credited as a writer for that.
I will say, I think it's kind of split when it comes to I think the movies have a less of a chance to be good. The shows, I think, like that American Primeval show, the Peter Berg show, I watched the first episode. That's pretty intense, and I think that's very well done. Now, obviously, I'm a little biased because Tyler Kish is in it, and that's my gambit.
Your Gambit.
See, there you go, Letter Kim.
Leonard Kim, are you telling me that if somebody handed you a random earbud, you would put it in your ear? Some random earbud. And that the second that somebody, like a random stranger, texts you on the phone and says, put this random earbud in your ear, you're not tossing, you're not yeeting that earbud across the airport and blocking the number. That movie would have been over in 15 minutes if I were the main character.
I don't know. You're a TSA agent. You got to investigate. He was trying to prove himself, go above and beyond. Come on, Jeff. It's all there. They laid it out there all for you to pick up.
He was a track star beforehand.
There wasn't enough. There wasn't enough. Oh, dude, Back in Action has what I call the Chekhov's Mentos. Because
they show some Mentos and then use it at the end.
There's it's a movie. I mean, the suspension of disbelief goes a long way. So like if you're not willing to do that. But there's a scene where they're driving in the car and the girl hands her brother like a full tube, like a giant tube of Mentos, and they just tuck him in the seat. And I'm like, oh, these are coming back. These are coming back later. We're definitely good. And then later on, Jamie Foxx.
Did they put it in a soda?
Like a liter. Like a liter of Diet Coke. Soda. He puts the thing in there and he throws it in the next car, and it explodes almost like a grenade. It's
you know really what that sells me on the movie more than anything else, honestly.
That's probably what the entire movie was based on, was that scene.
Chekhov's and Toad.
Wouldn't it be funny if?
But like I said, American Primeval, I've only watched the first episode. That was pretty intense. It's a weird premise because it's like back when like Brigham Young had his like big army, and then the U.S. Army sent people down there to like also confront them about like they were trying to expand their territory, I guess. But also you have all these Native American tribes that are also there, so it's like a three-way conflict. And I'm like, is that the Sons of Anarchy dude playing Brigham Young? And then Betty Gilpin is in this, and she's fantastic.
Oh yeah,
as this like woman that wants to get across the country. So and then you know who else is in it, Clay? What's his name? Captain Boomerang.
Jai Courtney.
Yeah, he plays like this just the worst person in the Old West. who saw that somebody has a bounty on them and they're like, oh, I'm gonna go collect that. So like, yeah, it's, and you know, I know we don't really like Mark Wahlberg, but I've seen a lot of Peter Berg movies in my lifetime, and they're entertaining to say the least. So I wanted to check that out. So I'll probably go back to finish it later on. So there's some good television. Black Dove's also really good on Netflix. It's the spy thriller show with Keira Knightley. So I think their TV is a little bit more well crafted than their movies.
I'll throw this out. I don't know if you want to make a Patreon goal to have Jeff watch Carry On, and stream it. Well, watch me torture myself to watch Carry On.
Jeff reacts to Carry On.
Jeff reacts to Carry On as a Patreon goal. Then I will do it.
But we have to get you a TSA wand. So that every time you disagree with something in the movie, you have to like wave it around or something.
Yeah, I'll have to watch it from a small gray bin on a conveyor belt as it goes through.
So, all right, the last thing I'll talk about and let you guys talk about stuff. If you go on Max, you can watch two things. First of all, watch Den of Thieves, the first one, so you can go watch the second one. And also, if you were a fan of ER, back when ER was at the height of its power, you need to go watch The Pitt. No. Oh my goodness, it's such a cool show. I love the premise that these are like 15 episodes happening during one shift, so it's like it's not real time, but every episode focuses on like 1 hour of their shift. Noah Wiley's back in the ER, not in ER, but like in the actual emergency room, which like after House, I think Noah Wiley is the doctor I would trust the most to cure me of a disease. So yeah, go watch The Pitt. I hate when they drop something that people just binge it, but this is a show that I would have binged all 15 episodes of it had they dropped it all at once, just because it's that great. And then since I'm talking about medical shows, I'm also watching Doc, the new procedural on Fox. Very different. A doctor hits her head and she forgets the past 8 years. Turns out she was an asshole, but now 8 years prior she wasn't. So I don't know.
So it's regarding Henry, but a doctor.
I don't know what that means. So maybe.
You never seen Regarding Henry by Harrison Ford, where he's like an asshole guy who gets shot in a robbery and then like becomes a better person because he was an asshole before.
Oh, yeah, I guess it is. I mean, yeah, like that, but with just doctor stuff in it. So yeah,
Regarding Henry, it's an old Harrison Ford movie.
Yeah, I think J.J. Abrams directs it. Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Huh, a lot.
Is there a lot of lens players in it?
There?
I don't.
Yeah. All right. Clay, let me pass it off to you.
Okay.
What have you been watching?
I am so glad that I believe, was it just Josh or were y'all watching the franchise? Talk me into watching the franchise because it is
I watched
the greatest. I'm so mad that it's canceled.
Harley Quinn's back. Yep.
Yeah, Harley Quinn's back.
Yep.
The franchise is hilarious. Like I could totally see like these people, but Baron Zemo, man, I love Baron Zemo in this. It's so fun to watch him be the director and just melt down and have 3D techs just constantly have to redo your movie over and over and over again. The franchise is great, and if you enjoy Marvel movies, you can see the hilarity in it. And I love seeing Jessica Stevenson on TV again from Spaced. I was a big Spaced fan, so she's the assistant to the director.
Which character is she?
She's
is she
the
first
assistant.
AD?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Ava, I think.
Is it Ava?
Yeah. Maybe. But if she's the first AD, I don't know who she is.
She's the one that has the affair with the guy in the suit, the CGI suit, the motion capture suit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, she's the director's assistant.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. She's great. That whole plotline is insane. It's a very fun show. Armando Iannucci from Beep and what was the space show with House?
Oh yeah, Space Force.
Avenue 5.
Oh, Avenue 5. Okay.
Yeah. I really enjoyed Avenue 5. I was sad that it got canceled. Franchise really also is not coming back anymore.
Franchise was left on a really good cliffhanger.
It's ironic and kind of funny that it got canceled. Like it's kind of meta that it got canceled. So
yeah. I got a subscription to Criterion and got to watch a bunch of Criterion films. Specifically, one that I think people should check out is the David Lynch, The Art Life. That is just a really good documentary of just him telling stories of kind of what made him. Party Girl, a 90s movie with Parker Posey. Revisited that just because I think I talked about this before, that I just miss like kind of independent films that just were like about people. And that's just it. Like, no, just like here's what's happening at this time period and these people. And Party Girl.
I remember going to see Party Girl in the theater. I'm pretty sure this was the movie. I like you, Clay. I miss a lot of the 90s. Unfortunately, a lot of them produced by Harvey Weinstein. But there's a lot of the 90s kind of like indie films. I'm pretty sure it's Party Girl when I saw it. There's like a scene where you get to see the boom mic fall into frame, and then it kind of just slowly slides out. And I was like, oh, they did not catch that.
Yeah, because everything is shot like in a studio, like apartment type setting. It is very low budget guerrilla filming because they're doing it on the streets at times. But it was like the 90s in New York, and Parker Posey was kind of the indie girl at the time who had done a lot of independent films. And so she was starring in this. And so this was a big thing on the independent circuit, like at Inwood and the theaters back then that just carried those. I watched Serial Mom for the first time. I'd never seen that, which was great. And They Call Me Bruce, a movie from the 80s,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is very dated. It is very racist, but Criterion has it because of the director and a lot of his work. This was like a huge hit. This was like a small film that did really well, and so They Still Call Me Bruce is the sequel to it. But it's weird watching these movies that were just kind of patched together because they're kind of just sketches that kind of put a story together. But it's like the worst stereotypes you've seen of people are just done in this movie in the worst way. Italians, I mean, they're like everyone's a mafia character. everyone talks with a bad accent. It was weird to revisit this time, but it's kind of a product of what the 80s were like. That was the kind of humor that was traditional. It was just weird.
When you're going through the app, do you pretend that you're in the Criterion closet and you're just like picking through things? You're just like,
no, I just I go to what they suggest because or what's about to leave. That's always the stuff I want to see before they get rid of it. Because I know they have a lot of like Cameron Crowe films, batched together and stuff, and so some of that they're gonna lose. So just because I just got it, I want to go anything that's about to disappear.
When you said that They Call Me Bruce was dated, I was like, how bad can it be? So I put it on Letterboxd. Alternative title: A Fistful of Chopsticks.
Yes.
So
I really am excited to get your opinion on this.
I'm gonna start with the David Lynch stuff, and then maybe I don't have a Criterion subscription, so maybe I'll have to wait on that.
Yeah, I don't know where.
I'll wait till they put a Zack Snyder movie in the Criterion collection, so I can have an excuse to go.
You're gonna be waiting for it. Doesn't he have what is his zombie movie? Isn't that in the Criterion collection?
Dawn of the Dead. Is it Dawn of the Dead in Criterion collection?
No, I think
it's Guardians of Ga'Hoole.
The Guardians of Ga'Hoole. That's what it is. You can watch They Call Me Bruce free on Tubi or Pluto, so it is out there.
Nice.
All right. What else, Clay?
And then I got, when it got real cold and we were frozen in for a little bit, I went on a binge watch of the 90s TV series, The Highlander. Do you guys remember this show? I absolutely love this show because for me, I remember watching the show at a point in time where I had just finished college. I was out. I, was looking for work, but I felt like I didn't have, anything tying me down. And so and then now I have a Highlander show on TV. I'm just going to stay at home. This is like the perfect world. So, it makes me remember that time period in the 90s where I was just kind of free from everything and felt good about life. And then I got married.
For me, Highlander was Hercules and Xena for smart people.
That's what it was. It was syndicated. But then it actually had a storyline, so you had to follow it, or you would miss why people were not in the show anymore. And so if I didn't catch it, I was like, well, what the fuck? That we got a whole new intro and everything, and all this whole new cast of characters. But it's so 90s and it's so much fun, and it's weird because there's like a lot of people that are big time stars now that you see in there as like just character actors. So
that show had a huge following.
Yeah, it lasted 6 seasons, and I was able to watch 5 before I took a break. Yeah. So I'll do 5 and 6, and then watch the films because there's like 5 or 6 Highlander films because there should be only one. Yeah. But Adrian Paul's great, man. Like he's just having fun in that show. That I think that's what I love about it because it's so 90s. It has it's just ridiculous in some of the premises that they have. But it's like fuck it. We're just every episode's gonna be like a movie. Like this episode's gonna be like Die Hard. This episode's gonna be like Rambo. Like they just try to make a movie in like 42 minutes with a TV budget. And that's what I've been enjoying about it is they don't give a shit. They're just trying to make it fun. And now the Highlander's coming back with Henry Cavill. So there will be renewed interest in the Highlander series.
There can be only one.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Better be Henry Cavill.
Oh, and then the last thing,
Unless-
because I botched my comic stuff. I'm sorry, I'm just rattling on for a long time here. I forgot that I read this last year. This was one of my favorite books of last year, but I did not have it in my notes, and so I fucking overlooked it. But Monica, by Dan Klaus, fantastic book. It's my recommendation of the week.
Too late. List was final.
Gotta save it.
So that's all I got.
I say that, and then I still made like a bunch of other videos talking about some of the stuff that I didn't put on my list. All right, Jeff, tell us, what have you been watching? Before we get into comics, tell us what you've been watching. You've had 3 weeks.
I know. I haven't been watching a whole lot. I've been playing catch up on wrestling now that I have access to it again. I will say that it is jarring. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the only thing is I can't believe how long it takes them for the thing to go live on, or how long for it to go on demand once it's aired live. Like I got home. Yeah, because I on Mondays we go play Star Wars, so usually I'll catch Raw on the replay. Normally I have it on my DVR, but then for this one I came back and I was like, yeah, it's not ready yet. You can't watch it yet. And I was like, well, what the hell? And it took like an hour for it to be ready. I'm like, what are you doing, Netflix? Like, what? I don't understand.
Weird.
YouTube shows you videos that air live from random strangers right away. You're a multi-million-dollar company. Why can't you just replay the stuff that you just? Peacock does the same thing with the PLEs though. So I don't know. Maybe it's a whole thing that they have to prepare. Whatever. They should do better.
They have to
do
wait.
better, Netflix and Peacock.
Yeah, I usually watch it live. But then AEW, which I haven't seen in forever, is also now showing on Max. And it is very jarring to have, because I've been kind of keeping up with WWE until they pulled SmackDown off of Fox. But it's jarring to go back to AEW to see how small those crowds have gotten, and just how tiny the crowds sound. And it's like watching a little indie show, even though they're supposed to be the main competition kind of thing. Anyway, other things that I've watched,
too, right? Because you see one, see one arena, and then you go watch the other one, you're like, oh,
yeah, it's really like WWE feels very professional, very like big time. Watching Hulk Hogan get booed 2 weeks ago just made my heart sing.
Well done.
It was
well done.
Yeah, good job, everybody. Yeah, but it's and then also watching just the production value of AEW. It just makes me a little bummed because 2 years ago I was so excited for them, and they just seem to have lost all their steam. So good luck to them. Speaking of Parker Posey from like 15 minutes ago, I did watch a little bit. I've seen this movie a million times, but Waiting for Guffman, Warner Brothers YouTube channel has put out Waiting for Guffman on YouTube, which is a Christopher Guest film about a community play, a community theater putting on this play about the history of the town that they live in. It is so funny. It is just one of the great comedic movies I think out there. Please go watch it. It's a great ensemble piece. Parker Posey is in it. A whole bunch of people. These are the same people that did
Best in Show.
Best in Show. What's God, my brain is blanking. The band.
The Mighty Wind.
The Mighty Wind. But no, what's the rock band? The fake rock band.
This is Spinal Tap.
Spinal Tap, yes, Spinal Tap, which is supposed to be getting a sequel, isn't it? And
there's supposed to be a sequel this year that's like not been covered in the news at all. Like I've seen like one story, and I've seen Michael McKean confirm it, and so I was like, "And when are we getting this Spinal Tap?" Because it's supposed to be about them revisiting the director from the first film after he kind of make them looked as bad as they did, and but he has to reunite with them for business purposes, so they have this uncomfortableness throughout the movie.
That would be my number one film above Fantastic Four if it were in the list, and I could see something about it, because those movies are so funny. They're so funny.
I love Parker Posey and Waiting for Guffman on her Dairy Queen speech.
Yeah, her Dairy Queen speech is
because she goes from like, I could be a big star or I could just come back to the Dairy Queen because I get good pay, and you can eat, you could get to eat half off. So it's a good deal. Like she just keeps rolling with this Dairy Queen idea, and it's so funny. Oh my God.
Yeah. I don't know. Have you ever seen any of these movies, Danny? Any of the Christopher Guest movies? They're very funny.
Dude, Best in Show is I would recommend at the top.
Yeah,
Or Waiting
these are
for
like
Guffman.
these are A+ comedians. Like I put them up against anybody. It's Eugene Levy is in all of them.
Him and Catherine O'Hara teamed up.
Catherine O'Hara, yeah.
Oh my gosh, Best in Show, their team up is so funny. I
So
just
are these
love
all
those
like
two.
Canadian comics from that?
Yeah.
That group that came out of Canada, whatever.
SCTV.
Yeah,
because that's where
yeah,
Catherine
SCTV.
O'Hara, that's where they're from, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We got some
And then
intel here. Real quick, Carlos saying maybe it's not a tech issue, it's more like that contractual thing. Well, update the contracts. They just signed it. They could have written that in, so it plays right away.
I wonder if they have to wait like an hour contractually before they put things on. Like
I think
at the end of
AEW, you don't get if you missed it live, you don't get it right away. It takes even longer. Like they're like a week behind or something. That may be
AEW is like longer.
On TBS, you can watch it next day on the app, on the TBS app if you have cable. I don't know. Anyways, I want to watch things when I want to watch them, right?
Well, you don't have that freedom. I'm sorry.
It's not.
That's about all I've been watching, really. I haven't. Again, I just now that TikTok's gone, I'll have all the free time in the world to watch movies and TV shows.
Where my country going?
I saw a couple of episodes of the new Matlock with Kathy Bates. Seen a couple episodes of Elsbeth.
I can't wait for
nothing
that
really
to
to write
back.
home about.
It's
good. It's very good. I do find myself slipping into like I love old people mysteries now. Like people cozy TV mysteries are kind of becoming my thing.
Yeah.
Give me that Murder, She Wrote. Give me that Columbo.
All right. Let's talk about comics because we have a lot of stuff. Actually, I'll only talk about. Let me show you guys what I picked up this week. I'll stick to this week's stuff. The one thing I didn't pick up because I was talking to Jeremy at Titan. Apparently, there was a giant snowstorm where my first thing was like, oh, this book got delayed because Diamond's now bankrupt, which is a whole thing that also happened this week. But he's like, no, this one, that happened before, but there was a big snowstorm wherever they moved their warehouse, so like they couldn't ship stuff out. But I read You Won't Feel a Thing. That's the new distillery book by Jacques and Scott Snyder, and it's super great. It's really dope. It's really, really dope. It's scary as hell on multiple levels. The premise is that an aging detective who's had to retire, he's now in a retirement home or a retirement facility, and then he also has a tumor in his head that's slowly eating away of who he was, but then also a serial killer that he stopped or that he was hunting down in his prime is back in his town. So like all this shit is happening all at the same time. But man, yeah, it's horror on multiple levels because it's like the man is losing who he is as a person, so that's pretty scary. There's this serial killer that's coming back that's also really scary, and then you kind of get flashbacks of him. Like it's pretty intense. I will say it's pretty intense, but I mean, Jock and Scott Snyder have yet to steer me wrong. So
yeah,
and it's all in that oversized format, distillery format. So pretty cool, pretty cool. All right, but comics that I did get this week. First of all, let's start with some of the shiny ones. A new Green Lantern.
Ooh.
Fracture Spectrum. The Green Lantern status quo is kind of back again. O is back. And there are some new lanterns that are from these fractured emotions. So, of course, more lanterns out there, which makes it very interesting. But that's really cool. Let me show you guys this cover. I picked up this is New Gods, the number 2, but it's like one of those vinyl covers that when you open it, there's another cover underneath.
Ah, nice.
I thought this was super cool. I haven't read the actual issue, but I saw the cover at Titan. I was like, "Oh, I'm picking this up." I love these because it's like, so it's like 2 covers in one.
That's like a scene in the in that issue. There's a
is it?
There's a reason.
Yeah,
there's a reason for that cover.
Oh, okay. Well, cool. Now I'm looking forward to reading it. Challenges of the Unknown. What a fucking great title. Just what a fun team. They're all so messed up.
Yeah, they've been around forever. Have you ever read a Challengers book?
I don't think so. This is the first Challengers, and man, they have a tragic ass backstory. Each issue is kind of focusing on one of them, and we're barely in the second one, and I'm like, oh my god, this poor woman. She's been through some
wrote
shit.
it?
This is Christopher Canwell. You may know him mainly from the TV show *Halt and Catch Fire*, but there's also a lot of comics that he's been doing.
Yeah.
Oh, he did the Plastic Man No More. That Josh and I
body horror one.
Yes, sir. G.I. Joe, the first arc is completed here with number 6. A lot of fun. Let me see what else. The ones that I have read, I think that's it that I actually read. Where's my Marvel books? Oh, here they are. I read Rogue, The Savage Land.
Whoa,
Tim Seeley. I know. Yeah. Wait till you look inside. It's pretty good.
We need more Savage Land Rogue. Just write a series. Just do it.
That's right. I'm gonna wait till it's all done though, because it seems like a standalone story. Also, one of my favorites this week, Ultimate Wolverine. So cool.
What makes it ultimate?
I don't even want to tell you anything about it.
He's really Canadian this one, so it's just like a bunch of Funny
enough, he works for the Rasputin family in the Eurasian part of the world in this Ultimate Universe. It's very complicated, but it's written by Chris Condon, who did That Texas Blood and Eastfield Gang Massacre. So,
I love stuff.
Oh, I had the What If Moon Knight became Herald of Galactus around here somewhere.
Yeah,
but I don't see it.
Good?
But I also read that. It's really good. And Moon Knight has never looked cooler than with the cosmic power, with the power cosmic in him. So yeah, really cool.
Nice.
Other than that, I picked up just the World's Finest, which I haven't read. Picked up this cover of Nightwing, and picked up another cover of the Green Lanterns book that I showed you guys earlier. And then Batman and Robin Year One. I'm behind, but I'm still buying it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And the last thing, I read Skin Police 1 through 4. So I reread the first one that we did on the show, and then 4 kind of finishes the arc. My only downside was that there's gonna be a part 2 to Skin Police, so it's like you leave in a big cliffhanger. But it's pretty cool. Like the whole thing with all these people losing their mind and the police force that's chasing these clones or whatever. It's pretty good. I just wish that we didn't have to take a break in between to do the other ones, but I'll definitely come back to it. So thanks, Oni, for letting us read that. That was very cool. So all right, what else? Who else wants to talk about comics?
I just read one for Comic Book Club.
Other than the Monica one?
Oh, yeah, I didn't have it written down because I didn't think about it because it was Comic Book Club, but Public Domain by Chip Zdarsky.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
And I got a different take than everyone else because I was kind of bummed out by it because I was like, well, this is Chip doing Once Upon a Time in comic books where he has a happy ending to a story we know that isn't real, because we've seen artists, we've seen creators try to get their creations back before, and it's never ended well. And he kind of even shows like a character who's very much like Bob Kane and what he did to Bill Finger. But then it was funny because one of the other guys jumped in after we talked about that and said, "Oh no, that's obviously Stan Lee and Jack Kirby." Like, so it's funny to see the associations created with those characters within public domain. But the fact that and see, I thought that the story was like a one and done, and at the end, like they get the property and they're going to make comics, you know. But like Steve Gerber wanted that, and that didn't happen. Jack Kirby wanted his creations back, and it didn't. Like there are so many that didn't happen. It's weird to watch one where it's like, well, we're gonna make it a comic so it'll have a happy ending and justice will prevail. Like that's the only place that it's real. So well, I kind of got bummed out by it, but everyone else was like so hopeful, and I was like,
as the story, because it's ongoing. So as it continues, the Bob Kane character continues his antagonistic ways against against Bill Finger's new upstart publishing company. So it does kind of continue that narrative of like, even though you have what you want, you still have to compete against the mega corporation interest kind of thing.
You can still get your sad ending, Clay.
Yeah, you could. There's still time to get your sad ending.
Well, I mean, you know, it was weird too, because it was like the wife says, you know, whatever you want to do, but I'm going to let you know that this book has taken you away from your family for decades, and that's why you have a bad relationship with your kids. And so he goes, get in the comic book. That's what I'm doing. Like, even after she points out, like, it pulled you away. Like, there could have been this moment of like, well, you know, even though he does work with his kids at the end, it was a choice that was presented as like, hey, you know, this has pulled you away from family. You could just spend the time with family. And he's like, no, I got to get my comic book and I'll spend time with family. So I don't know. I was kind of bummed by it a little bit because I know that it's not a real thing. But if Chip can make it a happy ending, then let's do it.
I think, Jeff, you and I did the Domain review, right? Which is the spin-off comic. Is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, so they published a comic. The comic that they talk about in the book is actually being published in real life as well, Clay.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
I thought that's a cool gimmick. Yeah, that they take the property that is part of the public domain storyline and then publish it as a real comic for us humans to read.
It's like,
and then the characters. It's what's funny is so like it's written by Chip Zdarsky, but in the story you get to see that it's like it's written by the characters in that other book, and what Chip has done is he's parodied those characters in that book in this. So there's three main characters in the Domain book, and they're all basically based off the characters that are the characters in the public domain. So one is like the son that's the artist, one is the other son that's the writer, and the third one is like that intern that joined up. And it's funny to read the two side by side. Okay. You can kind of see some of the things that they're dealing with, that they're working out in the public domain book being worked out as their issues in the Domain book. It's wild to read.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Well, I may read a little further then.
Yeah. It's like if DC had started Tales of the Black Freighter comic after Watchmen came out.
That's what. Yeah.
Which I'm sure Alan Moore would have loved.
Could you make some toys? Make some some toys from some Alan Moore properties, please.
Where's the McFarlane? Where's the McFarlane Black Freighter toy line?
Where's my
I want to see
McFarlane Gerard Butler guy?
Where's my ship made of people?
Oh God, I forgot about that.
How do you forget about that? That's just the darkest part of the story. Is how he survived. He just survived on the backs of others.
It's been a long. Oh, that's right. Oh my God, yeah. All right, Jeff. What comics you got?
All right, I just picked a handful from the last few weeks that I'll talk about here. We got Feral #9. I love that you get to see all these cat eyes in the cover. Feral, I haven't been enjoying Feral as much as I did Stray Dogs. Stray Dogs was like a short, compact, tight little story. This one we're 9 issues in. It's still ongoing. But this one, like, there's been a handful of issues where I'm like, oh, this is scarier than Stray Dogs. This is more intense than Stray Dogs, and this is one of those issues where I was like, oh, this might be better than Stray Dogs, because there's it's about it's like a rabies outbreak in cats all over this little community. So like we've been following these house cats that have escaped. They've been from their house, and then they've been trying to escape from the CDC. And there's all these animals that have rabies, like in the forest around these, in the suburbs. They end up in this old lady's house, so she takes them in because she's like a crazy cat lady. But then they find out that she has that cat disease, toxoplasmosis or whatever it's called. So this book is insane. I enjoy it.
Oh, cool.
Jenny Sparks, book 6. I like Tom King stuff. My favorite part is this is kind of their COVID issue, because it's a time jump thing. So we've been seeing Jenny in her COVID times, and then you get to see, I don't know if you can see that, Superman in a mask, his little N95 mask. I don't know if I got that or not. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway,
would Superman get COVID?
He would be able to see the molecules, wouldn't he?
Well, he said, I don't think I can get it, but I don't know if I can, like, if I would carry it and give it to somebody. So that's why he's
You know what? I shouldn't even question him. Wear your mask, Superman.
Yeah. Exceptional X-Men.
Wait, do they show? Sorry, Jeff. Real quick, do they show Batman wearing a mask?
Batman is not in this issue. I wish they did. Dang. This is not. I mean, this is the same comic that brought us Batman eating a hamburger with a fork. So I think that they would have. So.
What's their belly burger? Was it a belly burger?
I don't remember. It was just at a diner. But he was in his Matches Malone costume.
That's right. And I think you mentioned that when you talked about that issue. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in his Matches Malone. Clark Kent is there as Clark Kent, or Superman is there as Clark Kent. And they're all at a diner, but yeah, they show Bruce Wayne eating his hamburger with a fork, which I think is just the most ingenious thing. This is Exceptional X-Men number 5. This is my favorite current X-Men book right now. We're really dealing with Kitty's trauma from Krakoa and how she just went ham and started killing people, killing Orcus people towards the end of the Krakoan age there. Let's see what else I've got. Oh, I don't know if anybody read this. This was this is Finders Keepers. This is the Final Horizon experiment book. This is like the reverse Indiana Jones kind of thing. This is awesome. This might be my favorite of the Horizon experiment books. Along with the. Okay. So yeah, it's about this girl who gets she works her whole life she grew up in Puerto Rico. She leaves Puerto Rico to become to work in museums. She works her way up, become an archivist or something for a museum, and then comes across this artifact from her homeland that was stolen from like a colonizer, and then she comes up with this plan to steal it back from the museum and give it back to the people of her island. And there's like just the tiniest little bit of supernaturalness to it that kind of mimics that Indiana Jones stuff. But it's great. I really enjoyed it. Nice. Danny, on your recommendation, I picked up this issue of Ice Cream Man, the one that comes with the the warning, the trigger warning. It is good. It's really good. It was unexpected, but yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Trigger warning.
They go through a lot of it's a very self-referential book. They talk about how this is a horror comic and what horror means to different people. And then it was basically like, look outside your window. There's school shootings. We are removing people's individual freedoms. And then, the world is ending, and that's what you should really be afraid of. But we're happy to, provide you a little bit of escapism from the real horrors of the real world kind of thing.
Wow.
Yeah. Canary, Best of the Best. Black Canary, Best of the Best, number 2. Mostly, I just love this for the Ryan Sook artwork. The Ryan Sook artwork is so good in this
Oh,
thing.
love
So
his
good.
art.
The new Cruel Kingdom
Oh.
from Oni Press. So good. Again, it's just like the same creative teams for all of them. But there's a great Snow White and the Seven Dwarves little story twist on the story in this book that I really enjoyed.
That was cool. I think my favorite was the Robot King one, but that was pretty good too.
Yeah, the Robot King one was good as well. I don't want to skip over these. Batman Dark Patterns. What is this, number 2? The Hayden Sherman artwork is everything in this book.
That book is messed up.
It is messed up. Did anybody read Lucky Devils number 1? God, This is so good. This is so good. This blew my mind. It's about 2
Brown.
Every human that's born gets a little devil assigned to them. And the devil, and it's like one devil per every like 100 humans or something like that. So we follow 2 people in this story, and they are just both so good natured. Their devils are like fed up. Like, we try to get you to do bad things, but you just refuse to do it. And the way the devils level up in their own like devil hell world is that if they get their humans to do bad things, then they get promoted up the chain in hell. Well, they can't get these 2 people to do anything bad, so they are constantly at the bottom levels of hell. So they concoct this plan to give these 2 people power using their devilish powers, so that they can go ahead and do good. They can do whatever they want with their newfound fame or whatever. And because they are technically using devil powers to make these people more famous or popular, whatever, these devils can rank up in their hell. It's like a weird take on corporate structure America in both hell and in America. So it's kind of like how these devils are trying to game the system. It doesn't matter if they're doing good in the world, they just want to get ahead, kind of thing. I really enjoyed it. And then I did catch up on my New Gods 1 and 2. I'm always afraid to go into reading things by Ron V because he's really good, but also like super like spiritual. Sometimes it's like reading Hickman, where I'm just like, do I have enough space in my head for this right now? So I was a little hesitant to read New Gods because New Gods is very new agey. But this is so good.
You just reminded me, I gotta go back and reread or finish Gods, the Hickman book.
So that's the thing. When I was reading this, I was like, I was wishing Gods were this, because this
was a lot to keep up with month to month.
Yeah. What this has over that Hickman book is that I'm kind of familiar with the New Gods. I'm not a super New Gods fan, but I know who most of like their names, at least I recognize them. So, and it seems kind of like we're dealing with these powers that are like, we're dealing with these stories and these characters that are so powerful, they're more powerful than your Justice Leagues or whatever like that. But it's kind of this behind the scenes machinations of the DC universe that's going on. But yeah, it's super good. It's real good. I'm really enjoying it. So, and that's everything.
I recommend it. That's it. Real quick, I did have 2 more books that I saw from last week that I want to tell you guys about. Magic has her own series, and it's very good because she's actually using her magic powers. That's the biggest thing. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, magic. She usually kicks a lot of ass and uses her soul sword, but like she can do way more than that. And then there's this looming threat of like the Dark Child persona taking over. It's really cool, really cool. And then the other one, and this will be a good segue for what we'll talk about in a second, and then we'll see what else we talk about the show. But Daredevil Unleash Hell. This is the red band version. There's only the red band version. There is no like regular version of this.
Who's doing that book?
The bloodiest. This is done by Erica Schultz, with art by Valentina Pinti, Jose Luis, and Dee Cunnife's doing colors. Dee Cunnife was showing some of the pages on Blue Sky, and I asked him like if he had any red ink left after he finished this book, because it is bloody. Now, obviously, he probably colors digitally, but it is. There's some really messed up stuff here. Like just here, like you guys can see that.
Oh,
This is an Electro Daredevil made out of body parts. Because this is in the big reveal, but this is our best transition. Because look who's back in the comic book.
Oh,
Muse.
nice.
Yeah, Muse was such a cool
Whoa.
villain from the Charles Soule arc. Highly recommend it. The only thing is when I did I haven't looked online this week, but last week you couldn't read this digitally. The only way you could have read this is if you bought it physically.
Really?
I don't know, like maybe because of the red band stuff, they couldn't do it digitally. I don't know. I don't know where all that. I don't know all the idea behind it. I think now you can read it digitally in other places, but I haven't seen where. So, but yeah, I highly recommend it. We do have Lucky Devils on the folder, Clay, if you want to check it out.
Yes.
If you like 8 Billion Genies, I mean, it's the same team from 8 Billion Genies.
Oh,
so
it looked like that same style.
Yeah. It's Ryan Brown and Charles Soule, so it's gonna be good. All right. While Jeff gets back, Clay, speaking of Muse and Daredevil, did you watch that trailer this week?
Yes, I'm so excited. Like, just it could have just been a trailer of Matt Murdock and Kingpin talking at the diner. Like, I would have been happy watching those two. Yeah.
God.
But they give us so much more to go on, and it looks like it's going to be good and violent. I'm ready for the violence.
It's going to be very, very interesting. Jeff, we were just talking about the Daredevil trailer that dropped this week for Daredevil Born Again coming to Disney in March. I'm very excited. But yeah, that conversation in the diner, it feels like I've read that comic. Like I could feel as I was watching it, I was like, have I read this somewhere in? It's not in the Born Again story because we read that pretty recently. But it's definitely something like a panel that I read, or they had that similar conversation. One of my favorite stories from the comics is when Fisk is the mayor. Like that's just a cool dynamic.
Yeah.
Right. And everybody coming back, Foggy and Karen and
Frank.
Yeah, very excited. Very excited. Oh yeah, Frank's back. Like Frank, it's me.
Are you guys gonna do any rewatches of the original Netflix show?
I might. I enjoy 1 and 3 a lot.
Probably not. I will say what I should have done, and I mean, I don't know if Punisher's now on Disney Plus. I never finished the Punisher. That second season, I think there was 2 seasons, right?
Yeah. He's got a microchip in that one, and that's the guy that's going to be playing Ben Grimm. So those two are great together.
Oh, really? I must have never saw the second season of that either. Yeah, I kind of dropped off on the Netflix stuff at the end there.
It's just heavy. Punisher stuff is heavy.
Everything. Oh, interesting.
Oh, Leonard Kim.
Leonard Kim's never seen any of the Netflix shows. I will recommend to you Daredevil season 1, and
Jessica Jones season
1. Those are probably the best, and the Punisher season 1 as well.
Luke Cage.
I think those are the best.
Yeah.
Which one? Luke Cage.
Which one, Jeff? Oh, Luke Cage. Yeah. I think season 1 of all of the shows except Power Fist.
Iron Fist.
Oh yeah, Iron Fist. Sorry. Yeah. Like combine them.
Yeah, and you can even watch the Defenders if you just want to see the team up, because that's really all it is, and it's kind of neat to see them hang out.
If you really need your Danny Rand fix, I guess you can watch the Defenders. You know what sucks though? That Iron Fist was getting a little better, and you could see that they were setting up something good for whatever next season was. With the way
they had transferred the fist, and that was the big thing. You were going to see somebody. Yeah, that bums me out. It would be neat if they transferred that. Transferred.
Yeah, the Iron Fist is worth watching just so you can see Jessica Henwick as
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
what's
true.
her name?
Colleen Wing.
Colleen Wing. Yeah, she's
Jessica Henwick
That's
carries
where
the
I
show.
saw her first. Yeah, they should. I wish it was a Daughters of the Dragon show.
It would have been so much better. Like
That
their
would've been so
Misty
cool.
Knight and
Yeah, Misty
Colleen
Knight
would
was
have
really
been
cool.
great.
And then
Ugh.
if you want to see Mahershala Ali in the Marvel universe, because we may not ever get that Blade movie, watch
Oh,
Luke
shit.
Cage. They did a really good thing in those shows of combining like a little bit of fan service, where things would be like, oh, let's run the comics, but also like, oh, we're just gonna tell you good stories, and it's gonna. Remember when the Wizard showed up in Jessica Jones?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Wizard. Oh my god! All right. We got like 10
I would
minutes.
love to-
I don't know how deep we want
We
to
bring
get to
we
this
bring
stuff, but
Jessica Jones and She-Hulk together because I feel like that would be a good.
that would work.
Yeah.
No, that's just strong. That's a strong lineup, literally.
It would be neat to see a She-Hulk show that actually pivoted from comedy to serious, to the point that even the look of the show changed. You know,
Yeah.
that would be kind of interesting because they could play with the fourth wall a lot with her character in that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right.
You
Jeff, I
getting the
saw your
Alamos?
notes, and I feel like, I mean, we have only like 10 minutes left because I want to do the whole thing. Like, you have a couple of questions there, so maybe we can save this for next week. And we
can tease.
actually
Let's
do a
tease
longer-
our audience. Let's tease our audience
Sure.
for next week. Let's do it this way, and
Do
say
it.
that we saw an article. We saw a couple articles this week about movie theaters. So our show for this week was going to be, our topic for this week was going to be, if somebody bequeathed us a movie theater, how would we run that movie theater? What would we do to make people come back to the theaters? Because in the news this week, it broke that Alamo Drafthouse, which has been recently purchased by Sony Pictures, are doing a bunch of layoffs. They're doing some restructuring. I think the article I posted said they've restructured, I think it was like 15% of their corporate level people, which ended up being like 9 people because there's just so few people that work for Alamo Drafthouse corporate. But then they did lay off a bunch of their employees in the actual theaters and stuff as well, which is sad.
Because they had just rehired them when they reopened.
Because they just rehired like a good chunk of them. And then I found an article that came out a few months ago talking about what theaters are doing to try to entice people to come back in to go see theaters. And they're doing some wild things like adding pickleball courts, rope courses. I saw in that article, they talk about how they've transitioned some of their theaters into podcast studios. So they're just throwing stuff at the wall to try to get people to come back to the theaters. So Clay had the great, Clay was like, what would we do? Clay asked the question to us, what would we do if we had our own theater? And so I thought that would make a good, I agreed with Clay. Let's do that as a thing. So next week, I guess we should talk about that. And
we will.
And hey,
we will talk
and
about
listeners,
that next week.
give us some of your ideas. What would you add to the snack bar that would bring people in?
Barbecue.
Sushi.
See, I like your ideas, but then I'm like, do I want to sit in a theater for 2 hours smelling somebody else's barbecue?
See, I'd go the opposite direction. I would go the opposite direction and be like, no, we're not serving like food, like real food.
Only odorless food.
I'll serve snacky foods, but I'm not going to do meals.
Yeah, you could have. I mean, you could have like the full dining experience where you could sell like someone who's like going on a date with like, oh, we're gonna have like a big dinner for 2 and a movie, and that theater set up for it. Then you could have theaters that it's like, you know, bare minimum, no food served, so no wait staff will be in. It will just be the movie, and that's it.
Yeah,
just a couple of bar stools and a screen.
It's a tiny screen.
I want to go to the screen where you can make your own pizza as you watch the movie.
There's like little pizza ovens.
Yeah. Can somebody turn the lights on? I need to put my pizza in the oven.
So we'll think about that for next week. We'll come up with the list of things and see what we
We'll
can't
talk
make the
about that.
perfect movie theater.
We'll also wrap up any best of 2024. We didn't have a lot of TV, but there is some TV that we want to talk about. I'm specifically talking about Shogun, but yeah. All right, let's move on and wrap up with our recommendations. And let me go first because I've already read this book thanks to our friends over at IDW. My favorite crossover this year.
Oh, cool.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Naruto issue number 2 is out next week. This cover is my favorite because Donatello is my favorite turtle. And then, of course, here being with Naruto, and it's a Jorge Jimenez cover. So, like, I don't know. This
nice.
book has everything. It's got ninjas. It's got turtles. It's got the Shredder. It's got Kakashi. Just all your favorite characters.
That's everything.
Of course, a ton of variants by all these artists that I know have both been probably influenced by Naruto and the Ninja Turtles. Like Naruto's like I think 20 years old now. So
old man. You know what shocks me is that for as many crossovers as the Turtles have done, they still have not done a Daredevil crossover, as far as I know. And it's so based in literally based in Daredevil lore that how they have not done that is beyond me.
Oh,
and it must be Marvel's end.
Sorry, I got distracted because they were eating ramen together. Because that's what Naruto does. No, I agree. They should. It's insane that we haven't seen the Turtles crossover with they've crossed over with Batman, for God's sake. Come on.
That's what I'm saying.
Can you imagine that conversation with like, wait, your guys are named the Foot Clan? Because I fight some guys that are named the Hand, and then they have a little subset called the Fist. Do you guys?
Kevin Eastman promises a crossover, and this is from 2023.
See, I think it's Eastman that he's done a couple of covers for Daredevil.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's something maybe there, but I'm just surprised it hadn't happened.
The Foot and the Hand must meet.
Who else has a recommendation?
Monica by Dan Klaus.
From Friends?
Favorite book of last year. Love this. Huh?
Monica Bellucci.
I said from Friends. Oh. Monica Bellucci. Yeah, go watch Conclave. I never read. I wasn't gonna make that book club, so I didn't read the book. But maybe I'll take a gander now. Sometimes those books they are just on my speed.
Yeah,
I've heard people talk about this one. I feel like it gets very sad and real and a little cynical, almost as if a Gen Xer wrote it.
And it's not a Gen Xer. I think Dan Klaus is just outside the Gen X age.
Oh, okay. He was writing for Gen Xers.
He was, but a lot of his stuff. I mean, Ghost World. Come on.
Yeah.
Jeff, do you have anything?
Go watch. Carry
On.
Go watch Waiting for Guffman. Go watch Carry On. Go watch Carry On, then go watch Waiting for Guffman.
Go watch Carry On and then go tell Jeff. Yeah, go watch Carry On and then go reach out to Jeff on, I don't know, wherever Jeff is online.
Find me on TikTok.
Now that you don't have TikTok. Yeah, now that we're not on TikTok, I don't really see you post a lot on Instagram. I guess you post a little now more, but I don't want to keep using.
I've had to redo all my. Last night I sat there and played because I had 2 TikTok channels. I did one where I was just doing voiceovers with all my little toys and just whatever.
Yeah,
that was fun. That's how I started with TikTok because I just made myself laugh. And then I got into because I love Danny as a brother, but I also want to crush him as my enemy. I got into making comic book TikToks, and then I really enjoyed that too because Danny's right. You do find your community on TikTok at a much easier, much faster pace than you do any place else. And so I met some really great people, and then a few months ago I created a second Instagram that is just for like, it was just a dumping ground for all my TikTok stuff. So I download all my TikToks and just turn around and dump them on that Instagram. So now I have to go and pay attention to that Instagram and start creating reels for that specifically. But last night, and then I have an old YouTube channel that I hadn't used in years, but I started cleaning off things from that, which is where I found my Terminator thumbs up Huey Lewis, which is the thing I created.
That's good.
I used to make all kinds of just insane little YouTube videos, but I cleaned all that up, and I'm going to start posting all those shorts onto YouTube Reels, whatever I can, because now I have to TikTok. You could post up to 10 minutes worth of stuff in the long vertical format. YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels has a 3-minute.
Yeah, if you ever did a 10-minute long video and it wasn't like a movie clip, you're insane. I will say that.
But sometimes I would go like I would just go over the 3-minute mark. So all that stuff is, I can't upload it to either Instagram or not without cutting it and recutting
Shorts let you do 3 minutes now, at least.
Yeah. Both of them do 3 minutes. But if I have anything over an old video over 3 minutes, I have to figure out a way to edit around it.
Sometimes I have to cut our clips like man. Well, first of all, there's 4 of us, so I gotta move us around. And then I also
yeah, I'm gonna have to learn some editing tools, relearn some editing tools and stuff to get on YouTube. So
why can't the government be chill?
Yeah, they can't do it. They gotta make their cash. They can't buy an island to fly into space on the money that they have now.
I don't know how old this recommendation is from Josh, but he put on here how comics were made by Glenn Fleischman.
Yeah.
Which is probably not the best last name to grow up with. But also, as a bonus, the Merry Marvel Marching Society on Spotify, which I don't know why that just gave me Christmas vibes, and I'm like, how old is this note from? Like, but I guess I don't think it has anything to do with Christmas. You see the word Merry and you think. Well,
this
Christmas.
this book isn't even going to be published until June.
Josh always never looking at the dates.
Josh, they had ads. They had ads in some recent Marvel, not from anything from this month, so I can't find. So they had ads for the Merry Marvel like LPs on their Disney records, and I thought about buying one. They're like $15 or whatever for like these little. I think they're 45s. And on one side is like the theme song from a super old cartoon, like their old, Captain America wield his mighty shield. That's that old Captain America theme song. So they have that for that. Captain America, Fantastic Four, maybe one for the Submariner, I can't remember, or Iron Man. And then on the flip side, it's those old Merry Marvel Society records that they used to send out back in the 60s or back in the 70s. And I thought about buying one, and I did see that they're on Spotify, and I'm curious to hear them because that is some interesting stuff. But we'll see if it's on my Spotify Wrapped at the end of this year.
All right,
that's my second Spotify Wrapped joke for the show.
If anybody from Marvel PR is watching, I want to review this book. Give me review copies of One World Under Doom. Ryan North, RB Silva.
Ryan North.
Are you kidding me?
All right, did anybody ever read
the show we have today? Oh,
did anybody ever read the Emperor Doom graphic novel from back in the day? Emperor Doom. I'll bring it to the show someday. Good stuff. Last time,
maybe it's unfamiliar. I think
one of those old.
Yeah, I think I've read
one of those old big
like
graphic novel things.
Doom 2099.
Right. Doom 2099.
Doom 2099. All right. Before we get out of here, we still have links on our description for people that were affected in LA by the fires. I don't think that's done. Just because it's out of the news cycle doesn't mean that everybody's already cool. So make sure to go try to help however you can. We have links to specific people. My buddy Ben Mekler and also, oh, I forgot the name of the artist.
Steve Siegel.
Steve Siegel, thank you. We also have links for the LA Regional Food Bank, California Fire Foundations, the Pasadena Humane Eden Fire, the Red Cross. I would go to them. I don't want to say last, but do your research where you can help.
Flint probably still needs some drinking water also.
Jeez, Lou. Yeah. So also make sure to stay warm if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It's going to be a cold one this week.
Very cold.
So, alrighty, I gotta go pick up some groceries because people go nuts when it gets cold. So thanks to everybody for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.
See ya.
The most important thing in life will always be
Hail Bebo.
Twitter loves you.
Simon Center, get the fuck out.
All right. Bye.